So I'm like, why can't I be Lady Gaga or a Beyonce? So 3 white guys and 1 Swaati. But Dad was very adamant to say, I'm going to raise you up to be stronger than boys.
So we're here with Swaati. How are you?
Good, I'm trying to recover from that clap.
From that, it's like a thunder boom. The clap's not actually going to be in it. So
Like, did I look like I was sleeping?
And we're here with Swaati. How are you?
I'm good, how's it going?
Yeah, good. So for the people that out there that aren't familiar with your work, what do you do?
So why aren't you familiar with my work?
Well, clearly you've got a world-class level of sass. I like that. That's cool. So singer, songwriter. Mm-hmm. What else?
Makeup artist on the side.
Makeup artist on the side.
Stylist.
Fucking hustler, mate. I like that.
We do it all.
Yeah. So you just had a release that was yesterday.
It was, yeah. Latest single. It's in collaboration with these duo producers called SubSteppers. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Lighter came out yesterday. It was a big one.
Lighter, that's it. Lighter. Go check it out.
Lighter.
Yeah. So what actually inspired your, like, let's go to like basics. What inspired your venture into music?
That's a tough question. I don't even know if I would put it down to inspiration. It's just something that I started doing. Mm-hmm. They noticed that I was musical probably around like 4 or 5 because my parents were really into their music. They were into like a lot of black and white Bollywood songs, and they were socialites, so there were a lot of parties at home. Mm-hmm. So it was growing up around that environment where music's playing and stuff. I picked up a little Casio keyboard, like 13 centimeters from like the market that Dad got for me. And I started being able to play these Bollywood songs on the keyboard, just like that. Yeah. And that's when their kind of heads turned and thought, crap.
As in, you started learning to play them without...
No, I was playing without any training.
Oh, snap.
So they were like, the little girl's got a talent, and let's nurture this and see what happens. So then they put me in for piano lessons, and I was like, you know, it became the party trick.
Oh,
so
okay. The little brown here, Beethoven.
Yeah. When uncles and aunts are there, Mum's like, look, like play any song on the radio or on TV, and she'll be able to just listen to it once and like play it out on the piano. Yeah. And that's how it began.
That's incredible. So when did you realise that it was like a viable, like it was something that you wanted to pursue?
Again, it wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. It's just something that I did. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? It's like you breathe. This seemed to be, this is just what I did. I didn't know I could sing until around 13. I didn't realize I could sing. Up until then, it was just, oh, what are you going to do? I'm going to be Madonna's keyboard player. Yeah. And then I started taking up violin, guitar. I was like, I want it all, like, you know, everything. Yeah. And then at 13, I was part of all of the choirs in school all the time, but I thought I don't have the confidence to ever be at the front. And like, no, we're not going to do that. But I started whisper singing in my bedroom so that my parents couldn't hear, because I was like, this is my dirty little secret and the world can't find out about this. And so, yeah, I started whisper singing. They heard me one time and they're like, were you singing? And I'm like, no, like, I can't sing. But then I was like, sod it, I can sing. And let's take this somewhere. Like, one of the first songs I sang in high school at the time, it was like songs by Dido and Alanis Morissette. And yeah, this teacher was like, oh, you're not that good. Don't take this forward.
How old were you then?
Probably around 12.
Fuck, that's messed up. What prompted the teachers to say that?
She was just like, just stick to piano. Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
So we had like an exam where everyone had to rehearse one song, and so I stood there.
Just to point out, that was the lift. There's no going down backstage, nothing. Promise. Yeah.
So I stood there, sang the song. I was like nervous, shaking and stuff. And they had their favourites in the class, and they were like, Swaati, just stick to piano. Right. Like, this isn't anything worth sort of pursuing. You need a lot of work. And that was the beginning of the fire that was like, just because you said that, now I'm going to do it.
Oh, so you went the other way. You were like, I had a teacher once tell me that being funny would mean that I would amount to nothing. And she was kind of right, because I still haven't amounted to anything much. But it didn't stop me from fucking trying. Yeah. I hate that bitch.
But,
hope she's dead.
Yeah, I worked in reverse. I did it just to prove all of the people wrong. Yeah. And it was the only thing that I was gonna do anyway. And so like, my dad sat down with me and he was like, you're gonna have to go to uni. And I was like, why? And he was like, because your sisters, like I've got 2 older sisters, and he was like, their pictures are on the wall, your picture's gonna be on the wall too, and I'm not gonna have a daughter that doesn't have her picture on the wall. And I'm like, I can get you any picture, like, And he's like, no, you're going to uni. And he was like, just think of it this way. He was like, if you're riding a bicycle, it's easy to ride a bicycle, but he goes, you should know everything about the bicycle before you ride the bicycle.
Right.
Even if you just want to ride with one pedal or whatever you want to do. So he's like, music is what you do, and it comes naturally to you. Learn everything there is about it. And he was so smart. Like, he had the conversation with me that, yes, you're a singer, but singers, especially female singers, they're not seen as like the brightest things in a music studio. They're sort of like, they don't know about the equipment, or, they're kind of ditzy and they just sing and they're a pretty face at my hat. They just sing and my hair's not done. But anyway.
Hey man, I feel you. This is.
So he
if you were wearing a black hat, they would have thought this was an ISIS training camp. We've come dressed in all black with hats on.
So yeah, he was like, learn everything there is to learn about it, and then decide like what you want to specialize in. And I always remembered that, and I kept that within me, that I'm going to know everything so that I can walk into a music studio and be like, I want these effects and I want this, and I can understand everything that the engineers are talking about.
Yeah.
So I did.
So do you reckon that's actively like helped in the studio, the degree?
Oh, completely. Like, I can produce, I just choose not to produce. But I know what I'm talking about, I know what they're talking about, I know about the gear, like, yeah. I'm a little...
Good advice from Dad.
Yeah.
It was, we were talking like off air, it was interesting to learn that we both went to the same uni at the same time. Never bumped into each other. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you wouldn't, because, the music the music sector, there was like maybe 40 of us, but in sound engineering in particular, there was only 4 of us on my degree. So it was me and 3 other guys from Yorkshire and Hampshire and Wales.
It's a lot of shears.
So so 3 white guys and 1 Swaati in the course. And I'm like, okay, and so we're sitting there putting mics together and completely opening up mics. Yeah. And I'm just like, what's going on with my life? Like, honestly.
I feel like that segues quite nicely into one of the topics I really wanted to discuss. What's it like being a South Asian woman? Because you don't just stick to South Asian music, do you?
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
I knew that. It was like it was just for you to be like, no, of course I don't. So you don't stick to South Asian music, and I guess you are a minority in that field. What's that like?
I didn't think about it. I just did it. And when people were coming up and saying, well, you're not singing in Hindi, you're not singing in Punjabi, you're not doing that, and you're singing in English, and I'm like, why would I not be singing in English? Like, I don't see the problem here. You're saying that I can only go this high because I'm in this box, but I didn't have any idea of boxes in my mind when I started this in the first place. So I'm like, why can't I be Lady Gaga or a Beyonce?
Yeah.
And that's it. I haven't thought like that, and so that it never came into my mind. I started feeling it in uni when I was doing music, and obviously there were a lot of Asians in Brunel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Asians in Brunel, and I'd be walking down with my fellow 3 lovely guys from the Shires. I'm walking down with them, and the Asians would actually come up to me and be like, "You're with the wrong group. Like, what are you doing?"
What the fuck do you mean you're with the wrong group? Brunel was fucking weird. Seriously, yeah. Brunel was weird like that. It was like segregation. It was like apartheid. The
Asians would look at me and be like, she's a rebel. Because she's hanging around with these 3 white guys and she does music. Yeah, we don't do that. Like, you're supposed to be here and we're supposed to be at Liquids every single Thursday. And
it was Wednesdays. It was not Thursdays.
It's been a while.
That Liquid saw some of the best times of my life.
Yeah, that red carpet.
Oh man, we could turn this whole thing into just reminiscing about Brunel, fucking academy.
Yeah. So it was interesting, and that's when I started thinking, like, oh my gosh, I'm different, and I don't fit in with the Asians, and yeah, I wasn't quite sure where
you fit.
Yeah. But then I had that notion since I was a little girl anyway. I was convinced that I wasn't from here, and I'm like, I've been sent to the wrong planet. and it's just a matter of time before I can return back home.
Yeah.
So every time, like, I'd be disappointed by humans or something that would happen in the world, or even like the school teacher saying, oh, you can't do this, and little things, I'd just be like, it's okay, Swat, because you're not from here anyway, and that's why you're getting so affected by these things.
I mean, if you weren't from this planet, you wouldn't have to worry about things like Brexit or Trump.
No, not at all. And that's why I was so detached from the notion of it, because I'm just like, it doesn't affect me.
I mean, now would be a really good time to admit you're an alien, because I feel like that exclusive would really skyrocket our numbers. So now's a good time. So what's been, like, in your view, your biggest achievement so far? So we spoke off air about a lot of this stuff. So there was the KISS thing.
Yeah, KISS FM was definitely up there. Yeah, I got to perform at Maidavale Studios and have a set there. That was definitely up there as well. When I performed there, I finished my performance and I'm like, I'm done. Like, if I die tomorrow, I'm happy.
Right.
Like, I don't mind. But then KISS took it to a new level. Like, having your name amongst artists like Camila Cabello and Jason Derulo and stuff, and your song playing in between that on a Saturday night, I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Nah, it's fucking great, isn't it? Like, seeing it go from what you probably wrote it down on a notepad to being amongst those like artists. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Do you like live music? Do you like doing live events and stuff?
It's okay. It's interesting. I would see myself more as a recording artist. I think simply because I've spent so long in a studio, I've become very studio-esque.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing live. I am learning to enjoy it, but there is still a big aspect of it that kind of scares me. I do get a lot of anxiety and the whole thing of like, what will they think?
Yeah.
And that really affects me. Like, if someone looks away, I'm like, oh my gosh, he looked away. Why did he look away? Oh, he's not impressed. Like,
Right.
it's a million and one little battles that go off in my head. But no, I am getting more into it. And I do love the idea of it, obviously. It's just fighting those demons in your mind.
Yeah. It is like, I think that's just that's just the thing about anybody who does anything live. Comedians will
it's so personal, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Every single song, I used to see it as like my baby, and you've got this little child, and it's so personal to me. And I truly believe that when I sing, like I'm not a very good communicator in terms of words, but when I sing, that's when my soul speaks. And so if I'm getting vulnerable and that's my soul speaking when I'm singing, then to have that in front of people, and should they say anything, like, I'm going to want to slash your throat. Because that's my child.
That's that West London coming out there. I'm going to slash your throat, bitch. You look away, Swaati's getting stabby, son. Swaati to stabby.
But yeah, it is because it's so personal. Even when I was young and like a little girl, I couldn't voice conflicts. Like, I could never get into an argument with anyone. I just start shaking instead, and they're like, oh shit, she's angry. But like, I couldn't speak. And so then I got introduced to writing letters, and that's where the songwriter came from. It was the fact that when there were things that I couldn't say, and especially things of conflict that, like, they go against me. If I had an argument with mom, or if mom did something to upset me, or dad, or anyone, they're going to hear about it in a letter 2 days later. And then I'll be like, I don't want to talk about it. Just read the letter, and if you want, write me a letter back.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where the writer was born, and it's that whole thing of, it's so personal to me. And now, like, growing up, I'm still continuously trying to detach from the whole personal thing and be like, it's good to share. If God's given you a gift, then share it and learn not to take things so personally. It's their own issues.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're mirroring onto you.
So you mentioned about anxiety and vulnerability and stuff. Do you suffer from anything like that?
I think
Oh shit, man, got personal quick. It went from Brunel to mental health.
I think I've always been different since I was young. If I was born today, like, Lord, you would have like put me down as ADHD ages ago. But back in those days, like, they weren't labeling these little kids. They were just like, okay, she talks less, or she doesn't get maths and things like that. But in today's day and age, like, I've got everything.
Just everything.
Yeah. But I've never been up for labels. I hate being labeled. I hate being, like, boxed into things.
Yeah.
And so I live with myself. I've lived with myself. I live with it. I deal with it on a daily, whether you want to call it anxiety or depression or suicidal or whatever. Like, I don't label those things. I'm just like, this is how I'm feeling today.
Yeah.
And
I feel like everybody's like a little bit suicidal. We were talking at work, so obviously I've got a fucking day job because the podcast is going really well. So I've got a day job, and like somebody at my work actually just came up and was like, do you guys ever get like really random thoughts? And we were like, oh, what? There's like 5 or 6 of us, and we were like, what kind of random thoughts? And he was like, well, I was at the tube station this morning, and I thought, what if I just jumped in front of this train? We were like, what? What the fuck? I feel like that's just part of like the human condition in general.
Yeah, I'd say everything's good within reason. So, you know, you do get people that are a little bit more inclined towards being lighter, or like, you know, more attracted to light, and you get some people that are more attracted to darkness. I would definitely say that I'm more of a dark individual, and I've been that way since a young child. I've always been, you know, extraterrestrial, into the stars, into the universe, knowing that there's so much more to this world than growing up and getting a mortgage and getting married and all of these things, you know. I'm like, there's a lot more out there. So it was really funny. I was 13 and I wasn't impressed by this planet at 13, and I took my best mate at the time and we bought an outfit, and it was a complete yellow outfit, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. And she was like, okay, and I wrote all the letters out to everybody, and I was like, I want you to put me in this outfit, okay, in my funeral, like I need to look swag.
Right.
And then she spoke to my sister, and she's like, something's not right. Like, Swaati's talking about, like, she's planning a funeral right now. And then my sister walks in, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, like, you know, I'm not too impressed. And I think that there's better out there in terms of planets, and maybe I'll get reassigned to a better one.
Wait, so you were thinking about killing yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I was like, this is going to look so weird in the video, because I'm like smiling, nodding along, thinking like, oh, how cute is that? Like, no, you were thinking, you would...
Yeah,
like,
so that was at 13. And then it was fine, like, you know, we brushed it off, and then I was like, okay, fine, I'll stay if you insist, and I got a telling off from my sister. But I think that those were certain elements that you could see that there was this inner darkness inside of me. Like when I was 7 years old, everyone would say, don't touch fire. And instantly I was like, I want to touch the fire, so I'm going to go and touch the fire just to see what it feels like.
Yeah. And
like went and burnt the entire like side of my abs or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I touched the fire. But I'm like...
With your abs? What did you do? Lay down in it?
This area.
Oh,
to the fireplace. So I just went and like touched it, and my skin like stuck to the thing, and I'm screaming my head off, and they're like, what'd you do? And I was like, I touched the fire.
Fuck. Did you like seek help?
No, like, you know, they put Colgate on it.
This sounds like the most Indian household. Like, she's burnt herself. Quick, go get the Colgate. Like, what?
But yeah, so the whole fitting in thing, it was cool. I was like, okay, I've got these thoughts.
Yeah.
I can live with them, and I just learned to control them. When the whole, like, you know, there was no emphasis on depression, anxiety when I was growing up. It was, you know, everyone just be normal and that's it. So when everything started coming up in the last, you know, couple of years or whatever, where people are more in tuned into saying like, talk about mental health.
Yeah.
I didn't attach to that notion because I've never thought about it. I've never thought about what I have or anything like that. I just thought, this is me, and these are my thoughts, and this is how I control my brain. Like when I have these thoughts, and, you know, I had coping mechanisms and stuff, but this year was probably like one of the toughest years of my life. In terms of what I went through, and it was a whole build-up of things that had happened over the last 5 years. I lost my dad, I was married, went through a divorce, my sister had a brain hemorrhage, like loads of things happened.
All in 1 year?
No, so dad passed away 4 years ago, and 3 months later my sister had a brain hemorrhage in New Zealand. So I went there to look after her, and then came back, and then the marriage was falling apart, and so then went through the divorce that just came through 2 weeks ago. So I didn't give myself a moment to deal with anything. Like, there's aspects of dad's death that weren't dealt with. There's the sister having a brain hemorrhage 3 months later that, like, you know, almost kind of losing her and being in ICU and being like, crap, like, you know, everything can fall apart instantly. And then it was really funny because we got so scared of saying, like, how worse can it get? Like, it can't get worse. Because we said that after Dad died.
Right.
And then my sister had the aneurysm and we were called to New Zealand and we were like, okay, so let's not say that again. Because it can get worse.
Yeah.
And then dealing with being married and then getting out of the marriage in like the most smoothest way possible and then carrying on with music. I wasn't dealing with it. I went heavily into music and work mode. And 8 months ago, that's when I was really suicidal. And that's when I was like, okay, Houston, we've got a problem here now. Because I can't control this anymore. Whereas I was able to control, like, you know, it was kind of, they were fun thoughts back in the day, but this was not a fun thought because it wasn't my voice. It was another voice that had come in, and that's when I was like, okay, it's time to get help now.
Right. If you don't mind prying into that a little bit, what kind of help did you seek?
So I spoke to the doctors, and they were like, you've got symptoms of being depressed and anxiety, but we don't properly put you down as someone that has that, because on a day-to-day you seem like a very happy person, but then you switch and you have these episodes where you go from 0 to 100, and 100 is, okay, I'm on my way out, and 0, like, you're cool and you're having a nice day. So they were like, we want to look into you being bipolar and schizophrenic with suicide on the side. And I was just like, okay, and I found it fascinating because I was like, you're so quick to label me. And I was like, ooh, like bipolar and schizophrenia, like I love it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, look at you humans, like how quick are you just to try and like box me in so you can better understand me? And here I am being like, mate, I'm the dog's bollocks, don't try and understand me. Because there's an ocean of thoughts in there.
But did it help?
No, because they wanted me on medication, and I was like, I'm not taking medication because it will stop the songwriting. Because I know a lot of people on, like, you know, antidepressants and other medication, and it numbs a lot of those aspects of your mind so that I wouldn't be able to write the songs that I write. So I'm not going on that.
Yeah.
So I got a private therapist instead.
Right. It's a weird concept because I like suicide and like mental illness in general. I think it's such like a big topic nowadays. I was watching something with Stephen Fry, and he's like a long time bipolar sufferer. Like tried to commit suicide like multiple times, and he always says that the one thing that keeps getting him off of medication, he's fine when he takes medication, but when he comes off of it, the reason that he always comes off of it is because he feels like it stifles his creativity. And he's like, so he'll come off it and he'll be fine for like a few months, but then he will eventually either try committing suicide or will have to go back onto medication. So it's like a weird, I think it's an interesting like relationship between the two things, mental health and creativity. Yeah. But I literally just reduced alcohol. I wasn't a big drinker anyway, but I saw that any time I had some alcohol, like even one beer, the thoughts were way stronger. So my therapist was like, get off the alcohol and smoking hash. Like once in a while I'd do that, but even with that, I was seeing that instantly. I'm like ready to go. Yeah. So I've been clean off that for around 9 months now. And alcohol, I'm limited to just having one beer or like one glass of wine, but knowing the consequence that the next 2 days, Swaati, you will feel shit. Just don't kill yourself. I feel like that's the title of an autobiography, isn't it? Like, you will feel shit, but just don't kill yourself. It's intense, and it always surprises me how many creatives actually have like some form of mental illness. Yeah, because we're expressive people, right? We're sponges. We feel everything. Part of the reason as to why I kind of lock myself away, because like I come here, or like, you know, you go out, you interact with other human beings. Now, I'm a starseed from another planet. Like, I'm here to help heal this planet and help people however I can. But there's some people that have a lot of dark energy, and that comes into me. Right. And I have to protect myself from that. Because otherwise I'm coming home and I'm in a mood and I don't know why, but it's because of the people that were in my space. Right. You know? Yeah. It was really funny. Up until like 20, I couldn't give hugs because I'm like, you can't hug me because just something would happen. I'm like, I'm gonna seep in your energy, and what if I don't like what I feel? You know? Right. Shit, man. That's fucking deep. I like hugs. Hugs are good shit. I'm like thinking about when we met, I was just go straight away, went in for the hug. I shouldn't have fucking done that.
They're the huggy type people. So
oh dear God. Always seek consent, people. Fuck, man.
Because I'd like shake hands or like, you know, pat them on the back and be like, you're right. And like my friends used to cuss the shit out of me because I used to do this thing like my dad where we give side hugs. So you just put your arm around.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm a fan of the side hug.
Okay.
I think we went in for like a little bit of a side hug, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a side. I'm a fan of this because it's like friendly, like, you little rapscallion, you. Rather than like a full on, like, here, let's touch bodies. Like, you know.
It's like I've hardly spoken to you and now like my chest is against yours and I can feel your heartbeat.
Yeah, it's an intense moment. I think hugging's like, fuck, maybe I need to give up hugging. You've convinced me. I'm just like, here, come press your titties against me. No. Let's stop hugging. Let's take down the hugging. Let's just cancel hugging culture.
I know. You should only hug the ones that, you know, you're intimate with or like your family and you know their issues or you know that they've got zero issues. Because otherwise, honestly, this shit is real. You suck in energy.
I don't believe that. I was just thinking...
We're conductors. That's what we do.
Like I said, I can't comment on that. I'm just thinking there's a less of a chance of getting fucking Me Too if you don't... if you're like, there's a foot away, let's just high five.
Or just wave.
Yeah, just a nice plaque. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Exactly.
I like that. We were talking a little bit, we spoke a little bit in our initial conversations about like body image and like the image of like a South Asian woman, just in general. How have you found that with producing music videos? Not producing, but like you star in your own music videos, don't you? Yeah, I saw you. Yeah. How do you like? What are your views on that? Like the view of like a typical South Asian woman, but then like going into.
It doesn't occur to me.
Nah.
No, I'm a rebel. Like I'm naturally a rebel. Like I'm a born rebel. Like I will break things just to show you that I can break things. You know, like my aunties and uncles and everyone. And God willing, like my parents have been so great that they've pushed me into that. And even like mum and dad had 3 girls. But dad was very adamant to say, I'm going to raise you up to be stronger than boys. Right. So that you can stand up on your own 2 feet in this world, and nobody can ever, like, you know, you're going to know everything. So, like, he taught me how to fix boilers. I was standing by the car bonnet, like, you know, growing up, holding the torch for him, and he's showing me where everything is, and, like, all sorts. Like, when he'd be fixing things and soldering items, I'd be, like, giving him more the silver wire, and so, like, I've been raised as a really tough nut to not be, like, if you don't even think about something, it's not an issue for you. Like in terms of the closest that like the main things that kind of affected me in terms of body image was I've always been a skinny little kid, and I think it got to around like 10 years old where like my parents realized, oh, she's not growing anymore. Like her wrist isn't getting bigger. And they were like, okay, cool. And I was like, shit, like, is it going to stay like that for the rest of my life now? And they were like, maybe it will. And they were like, oh my, okay, like, we'll give you more milk and we'll do this and we need you to, you know, get bigger. And I just couldn't.
Yeah.
So, you know, growing up being called Twiggy or Matchstick and stuff like that and chicken legs and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just really skinny and scrawny and stuff like that. But now here, I'm just like, okay, fine, I've accepted that this is my body type, and I should be fortunate and kind of blessed to be like, well, big people would kill to be me.
Hey man, I appreciate that little jibe there. No, but I think body image, just whether you're a woman or a man, I think it's a massive fucking thing now, isn't it? Like, I just think the media standards and all that stuff, probably more so a few years ago. I feel like people are waking to it now. I think you just have to be
happy. Like, if you're happy in your own skin, I think that's the best thing that you can, like, you could be huge. Like, my mum's got a gastric band, and, you know, I've seen her battle weight gain and weight loss because she's disabled and she couldn't walk. So, you know, going to all of these hospital appointments with her and watching her vomit because of the gastric band because food gets stuck and rubbing her back every single day, I'm just like, I never want to be in that position.
Yeah.
Myself. So I will try and look after my health as much as possible. My biggest issue is weight gain in terms of I'm trying to put on weight all the time.
Right. Yeah, because I saw your Instagram. So that's where it all like came about. You had that Instagram post about.
Yeah. So maybe that's my slothish behavior because I don't want to lose any calories.
Yeah.
It comes into the whole thing of like, I'm trying to put on weight and you want me to bloody climb stairs? Like, I'm going to invoice you and you better get me like a protein bar after this.
I know.
But yeah, things like that. And at 22, I was diagnosed with a rare skin condition. And it's an autoimmune disease, and it's called hidradenitis suppurativa. And I had no clue what it was, and I was like, why me? Only 4% of the world has it. But when you have outbreaks of this skin condition, you actually get like open lesions on your skin, and they look like mini little volcanoes.
Right.
And it's really painful, and the side effect of that is depression and fatigue, and so your body's fighting the infection, so you just want to sleep. I could sleep like 16 hours a day when I've actually got an outbreak. So getting that was tough, just simply because you question like, why me? Out of like all the 4% of the world, like I've got this. And the biggest battle with that has been, especially with social media, it's a sort of hidden illness. You can't really see it. So on social media, everyone like, will DM you and be like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful and you're so hot and you're this and you seem like you've got the perfect package and stuff. And there's me sitting in the corner of my room sniggering, being like, you have no clue. And this is the thing that, on social media, you can paint any picture that you want of yourself and people will perceive it as to be like some sort of form of perfection, and I'm like, I'm really not. Like, I've got this skin condition and I'm not perfect, and when I have an outbreak it looks volcanic. And then on top of that, then being skinny and continuously trying to put on weight, and
becomes a lot, doesn't it?
It's tiring. I'd say it was one of the points that led to my breakdown 8 months ago was social media. And continuously like looking at other people, comparing yourself to other people, and then you've got the whole, rise and gain of Botox and fillers and stuff, and it's just like, where do you stop?
Yeah.
And how far will you go to chase this sort of fake image of yourself, with this fake image that you're fed by like people like the Kardashians of what perfect is, what the woman was. The woman shape that was trending 20 years ago is completely different to the shape of a woman today. Like 20 years ago, if you had a big ass, they'd be like, you got a freaking fat ass, like,
Yeah, like I was reading up about
it was slim asses 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's big asses. So I'm like, what's it going to be in 20 years' time?
It changes like all the time. But I was reading up about the butt procedures that they do, and like the rise. Laugh at that. It's an interesting read. Okay, it wasn't like I was doing the research on Pornhub. Okay, I was reading up about these articles about how the deaths associated with it are skyrocketing, and like they'll actually tell you in like places like Turkey and shit. They'll actually tell you like, okay, there is a chance that you'll die during this procedure.
Yeah.
That's like higher than normal procedures, and people are still willing to risk their lives to achieve this like ridiculous.
It's crazy what people will do to fit in to society, and it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It does my head in.
How did you go about like changing the way you think?
So going back to like the skin condition at 22, the doctor said I couldn't wear underwear anymore. I couldn't have tight fitted clothes or anything that would cause friction towards my skin. So they said that's how you kind of stop the outbreaks, and going dairy free and all sorts. So I stopped wearing underwear at 22.
Right, okay.
And so this is where the sort of rebel comes out, because like, especially on my social media, I get noted for, okay, she's not got a bra on and her nipples are out.
Right.
And yeah, she must be really cold. And I'm like, nipples don't freaking wake up when you're cold, mate. Some nipples just wake up 24/7. And they're just like, hey, we're here. But like, my parents have been so great that it wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a thing for my dad or my mum or nothing like that. And, people will come over or like we'll go somewhere, like we just recently went to Turkey, and yeah, I wasn't wearing a bra. And then like my auntie would come up and she'd be like, I can see your nipples. And I was like, I know you can. I was like, because I got tits and they're small, but like, and I was just like, if I lived in the Amazon and I was one of the tribal women, they know that breasts are not sexual parts. Yes, they can be sexual when you're in that moment, but they're not actually sexual organs. They're more for, breastfeeding, and they're just a normal.
What?
Yeah. So they're not the sexual part, and that's why like the tribal people always cover their the women will cover their vaginas, but they're not covering their breast because it's not a sexual organ.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just like, men don't I see men wearing loose boxers or whatever in their jeans, and I can still see your bulge. And I'm not being like, oh, I can see your bulge, like, why don't you put that away? Or
That'd be kind of weird. I'd feel a little bit vulnerable.
Do you get what I mean? So when I go out shopping, or if I'm in a shop, like anywhere, then why is it okay for people to look at me and be like, oh, she's got her tits out?
Has anybody ever said that to you? Like, that you, random, just, hey, you...
No, but they will look.
Oh, that's
and they'll enjoy looking. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, I want to kill you. But so I'm doing my part. Yes, it stemmed from the skin condition and the doctors giving me permission not to wear underwear. But now it's turned into more of a thing of like, if there's one me and there's more girls out there that will be more comfortable to go out without a freaking bra on, I'm so happy. Because I don't want it to be a sexualized part. Like, if I want to go out with no bra on or whatever, like, you shouldn't be looking.
Yeah, free the nipple, man. That's been my whole thing for a while.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure you can see mine. It is pretty cold in this room today, so stop looking.
So yeah, that's as far as like body image goes, and yeah, I will be like, I couldn't care less if I put a picture up and you can see my nipples. And if you're awkward about that, or if that makes you feel a certain way, that's your problem, not mine.
I feel like that's an adequate summary there. I feel kind of threatened right now. That was like personal. Go back to music. What are who are your like inspirations? So we had the Madonna in there. You want to be Madonna's keyboard?
Yeah, I wanted to be a keyboard player, but she wasn't necessarily an inspiration.
No, she had the whole thing about the cone titties as well, didn't she? What was that cone titty thing called? Cone, was it? Oh, okay. Fuck, it's gonna bug me. Can you? Yeah, so she's got that music video and she's got the cone tits and. Yes, yeah, that's what that. Yeah, so it's like, she's all about that. It was really funny
because growing up, everyone kept calling me like, they'd be like, oh, you're to my sisters, they'd be like, your sister's like a young Madonna, and yeah, I was just like,
Madonna in blackface. I like
that. Okay. But inspiration-wise, music has been very chapter-orientated. For example, like fragrances, you will have certain fragrances that you will smell and it will take you back to a memory or a certain chapter in your life. Music's been that way with me. I'd say going to uni and studying music teaches you to be open to listening to everything.
Right.
So like, one day I'll be listening to Lil Wayne, and then an hour later I'll be listening to Turkish folk music. And that's perfectly normal for me. And people are just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, but I like this, and I like listening to songs that I can't understand the language because I want to feel the music and I want to feel what their voice wants you to feel, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And those are the things that inspire me in my own music. I think it was one day I was listening to a song by Yasmin Levy, and I couldn't understand what she was saying, but I cried because she sounded like she was crying with her voice, and it made me cry. And that's when the sort of light bulb moment happened, and I was like, I want to make people feel, because I feel that the direction that the world is going in is becoming so robotic and emotionless that to actually leave someone with something and make them feel something, we're winning.
Yeah.
And that became the main motive of how I use my voice. I want to invoke emotions in people just to make sure that, you're still alive, right?
Yeah. I kind of get that, and I think the whole thing about art is that's. I feel like every form of art, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Is to make somebody feel a certain emotion. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't think of a piece of art that's not like that. Where it's like they want to portray.
You think so? Have you turned on the radio and listened to commercial music?
I used to be like that. I used to be like, oh, fuck commercial music, but even there, it's like.
What do they want you to? What do they want you to feel?
I feel like commercial music's always
that,
joy.
Women are just sexualized objects, and let me hit that.
It's an emotion, isn't it? Horny. Like, no, it is. No, I'm just saying, like, even like the worst song that you could
like, you know, subliminal
out.
Programming is taking place on mass levels through music and through commercial music of today's day and age.
Oh, fuck, I'm so ready for this conversation. Let's talk conspiracies.
It's not a conspiracy.
No, I'm fucking with you.
Why would you say conspiracy? Just because, you know, it's the woke talk and it's not the sheep talk.
It's the whole...
automatically becomes a conspiracy. But this is what's going on.
No.
Like, we studied this in uni of, like, how subliminal...
so this
programming takes place through music, and they taught us how to do it.
So I'm not using conspiracy as a snipe. A conspiracy is just a hidden agenda, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm ready for this conversation, right? So I think commercial music.
It's to dumb you down so that you carry on doing what the government tells you to do, and then the adverts that you see on TV and what Netflix chooses to show you. Everything is to dumb you down so that you don't question things, and they can better run the world.
But isn't that...
Because if everybody was like me and they were questioning shit and be like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go against the grain, they wouldn't be able to manage us, love.
So I do
And that's why the notion of marriage and everything was introduced. We are better managed in twos, hence why the whole marriage thing came apart.
I don't know. I think the marriage thing's biological, isn't it? It's like evolutionary.
It's not, but you don't need to be married, though. Why do you need to be married? Yes, you can go have sex and you can procreate, and we can, you know, there was a day and age where we had to increase the population of the world because, you know, people were dying in wars and infections and plagues and stuff. We've surpassed that level, and still, people, like, the biggest thing for people is like, oh, I want to leave a legacy, so I want to have a child. Why?
But that's like a biological drive, though, isn't it?
It is a biological drive, and I completely get it. Like, you know, once upon a time, I was completely driven by that notion. But now it's like there's so many kids out there without parents, and, like, you know, the world is decaying at a fast rate. We don't need to increase the population of humans anymore. And so I'm sorry if you just want to have a child because you want to see what it looks like. Is it going to look like the dad or the mom?
I'm so ready for Swaati's one-child policy. Come on, fucking China. China need you as an ambassador. Yeah, 0 children. But that's a biological drive. So I agree with parts of what you said. I'm a big believer in the banking system.
Remember, like, keep in the back of your mind that the doctors have tried to say I'm bipolar schizophrenic because tomorrow morning I'll be wanting a kid.
No, fair. Okay. God damn it, I was so ready. I'd lined up all my points and shit.
I want you to latch on, okay, to this idea of me that you have in your mind, but it's all a trick. I'm 2 steps ahead of you. Yeah.
Bruv, I think I've just been mind-fucked. I don't understand I'm not sure what just happened. I was ready to go into conspiracy talk, and you were just like, by the way, don't really believe any of this shit. Carry on. Like, let's go talk about music.
Why.
I find it fucking fascinating because I feel like everybody is like that a little bit.
Yeah, no. I wanted a kid, and you know when it actually changed, where I started questioning everything, it was when Dad died, because he died so suddenly. He went upstairs for a nap, and next thing I was doing CPR on him. To see someone go like that on their day off when there's no illnesses, they didn't have cholesterol, diabetes, like nothing like that. That jolts you, and I would say prior to him passing away, I was existing, but I wasn't really living. And it's through him passing away that I actually began living, and my eyes opened up, and I'm like, whoa, like, what have I been doing, and what's important to me and stuff. And I was so angry at the fact that he was snatched from me that I was like, he came to this country from Africa to India to here, and then he's made all these sacrifices because he wanted to be a pilot. Like, he was into aeronautics and stuff, and he got accepted into, like, he got a scholarship and stuff, but he sacrificed that for his family to bring them over. And he was like, I'll just do a normal day job, and he put his dream aside, and that he sacrifices that for me. Then I grow up to have a better life that he wanted for me. Now, if I'm going to go and sacrifice things for the next kid so that kid can have a better life than me,
who's going to achieve their dreams?
It's a vicious cycle, and it's like, what are you doing? You're just continuously making sacrifices so that the next one can have a better life than you. But then the reality of it is no one's having a better life than any of them. We're all just becoming machines of sacrifice.
Machines of sacrifice. That's going to note that down. That's the title of the episode. Machines of sacrifice. That's
and so I was
great.
like, I'm going to put a stop to this, and I'm going to justify his life and honor his life by living the best life that I can live. And I'm not saying no to having my own kids or anything like that. I'm completely open for adoption, but a kid shouldn't be, because my biological clock is telling me that I want to have a child and, nurture this or anything like that. It should be something, not an accessory, but as in, I want that kid, but the kid's not going to take over my life.
Gotcha.
It doesn't mean that it's going to take away from my music. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go from being who I am right now to waking up at 6 a.m. because, that's what I'm going to become, making muffins. And cupcakes has become the new thing for these new mothers. Like, oh gosh, I'm going to get so much hate.
I was just about to say, I was like, I'm sure you've got friends that are mothers, man.
Yeah, they make cupcakes.
Fuck those mums.
They make cupcakes. They're like, you want cupcakes for your birthday? No. You were a freaking engineer, but you make cupcakes now.
That was targeted. I'm sorry at whoever that was directed at. I apologise. We won't have her on again. No, so, okay.
But you get what I mean.
I do.
If I reach a level or a point in my life where I can afford to have 2 nannies or 3 nannies or whatever, then I will think, and trust me, if I meet a man who I'm like, I want, like, and that drive wakes up where I'm like, I want to have your child.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it, whereby it doesn't take away from my life, but it adds value.
Yeah. I fully sympathise with you because you're talking to a 27-year-old comedian. Okay. So it's like...
So I can't latch onto you either because you're just going to flip like...
I'm totally with it. I get what you're saying as well, like about... I always question it as well. And I've got friends now, and fuck it, I'm going to piss people off as well. But it's like, I've got friends as well who I like see that are like in their 30s and whatever. I'm like, but bro, when you were in your 20s, you wanted to do this. Like, you didn't even make an attempt at doing, like, anything that you wanted to do. You like, I call it the Asian life cycle. It's go uni, find somebody, settle down, get married while you're young, spend like 100K on a wedding.
Yeah, and then you're going to pop out a kid within, like, God knows, and then you pop out another one because the grandparents are alive and we can help you raise the kid. And then that's it, you're going to work yourself to death. And then, what happens next? Oh, but we're Hindu, so we believe in reincarnation. So you'll be fine. You've got, like, the cycle that's going to keep going on, bigger than yourself, and you're going to come back and do it all over again and just pray you're not an ant in your next life. Or a dog.
Bro, you should do talks. I'm fully ready to join the cult of Swaati here. I'm from a different planet as well. Fuck it. I am ready. I'm ready to join you. What's coming up next? What projects and stuff have you got coming up? Let's plug.
I'm working on an album. It's
nice.
Called The Ascension because it's the ascension of Swaati.
Interesting.
The last EP that came out was Slow Dance. It was called Slow Dance because I'm normally known for making dance music.
Right.
But this was more like slow dance music. It was the slower take on songs that could potentially be turned into dance songs, but it was slow. And it was almost a pun on, well, not a pun, but like, a metaphor for what I was going through at the time, which was whilst the world saw the slow dance EP and saw that my music was thriving, I was actually slow dancing with the devil at that time, which was the whole suicidal episode. That people had no clue that, until shit got really, really bad and things hit the fan and I started voicing that I'm not going to be here long, that's when people were like, oh, like, okay, we've got, like, and then the intervention happened and stuff. So that happened, and then from that to now, God bless my therapist and, like, my family and friends. But this whole journey of self-growth has taken place, and I'm fascinated at where the issues actually stemmed from, and I'm fixing issues since I was like, from when I was 2, that I didn't think that affected me, but, you carry this shit with you, and I'm improving myself. It's like, 2.0, 3.0 version of me.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited by working on myself with my therapist to be like, how good can we get? Like, maybe I can become Lucy and be using, 80% of my brain, like the film. So now the album comes out in February, March time, and awesome. I've lived a life based on sort of plans, like when I was little, I wanted to get married, and all of these things that you follow society and you put those little milestones in place because you think this is right and this is what the government and the corporations teach us to believe is correct. But after going through this last year and having, or like the last 5 years, and having the entire barriers of your existence break down, you realize that you can make plans, but God ain't gonna freaking listen to that. He's gonna do whatever he wants.
Okay.
And sometimes that is my greatest confirmation that there is a higher being up there, because I wouldn't have picked half the shit that I've had to go through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just taking each day by day. Today I'm here with you guys, and tomorrow is another day, and yeah.
Working towards that album. I love it. We generally, and like we're gonna wrap up now, but I want you to make me a promise. We come back and we do a conspiracies podcast.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
It'd be so fun.
All right. Swaati, thank you.
Thank you.
Wicked. That was fucking fun, man. I'm genuinely serious. You need to come back.